welcome to another episode of Radiorama, where, as the name implies, I show you how to work on radios. And today we have a make unknown, model unknown, All-American 5 tabletop radio. And sometimes I kind of dig these super generic sets where who knows who made what. And the only information on it is that it has a generic paper tag that shows where all the tubes go, and not much else. I really am not. It looks like there might have been some tags on the back here at one point. Those are all missing. Probably there was a UL sticker, and then probably the make and model, and then the Hazeltine RCA patent information. Looking at it just from the back, I can tell it's a pretty comparatively crude set compared to a lot of other. There's a lot of cost cuttings going on here. We've got slug tuning, which is a much cheaper way to do a tuning condenser. I've already removed the screws because looking at how cheap this looks like it is, I was certain that surely it was going to be a hot chassis set, meaning one end of the line was going to go to chassis ground. At that point, I would have not restored the set because it's dangerous. We're a museum. We can't really afford to send something like that into the wild. So I flipped it over, and to my surprise, no, it is not a hot chassis. It's a floating chassis because we've got this cap going from one end of the line to chassis ground right here. It looks like it's been worked on at some point in its past. These are not original electrolytic capacitors. And we've also got a resistor that is burned in half. And having worked on a lot of these sets over the years, an All-American 5 chassis, they're pretty much identical across the board with slight variations. So from experience, that is most likely a 1000 ohm 1 or 2 watt resistor, so that needs to be replaced. It's coming off the rectifier. That's where I would expect to see it. So as is, the set's not working. Someone cut the power cable off, and luckily I see where it goes. It goes right there. And we have 3 electrolytic capacitors. We have this, and then 2 more here. And then it looks like they share a common ground over here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paper capacitors. So not a whole lot going on here. Actually, there's more than that. I didn't see these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here's our output transformer. We have, interestingly enough, we have 2 IF cans here. And then an additional thingy up front. I don't know what that could be. There's no coil attached to it, but it looks like it's another fine adjustable thing for the set's reception, probably for alignment. And so the first things first, something is clearly shorted here, which has caused that resistor to burn in half. And you can see the end of this capacitor looks like it's incinerated. It's completely melted. I would suspect that one's probably fried. And so I'm going to replace that and the crossover cap going to the output tube. These electrolytics, that resistor, obviously we need to put in a new power cable. And then we'll give it a test to see if I've restored anything. Does it even have a pilot light? Yeah, it does. Amazingly, it does. That's good. Anyway, I kind of like these weird little radios that have like something I've not worked on before, because I've surely worked on a lot of All-American 5s, and this one's just weird. All right, so I've done probably the bare minimum to see if it's going to do anything. I've got a new cord. I need to cut that length of wire there, but I've got new electrolytics, these 2 capacitors, because I just threw the caps away, unfortunately, but there was one here that was completely incinerated. So with that said, and because I don't know, oh yeah, I replaced that resistor. I don't know if the short that was causing the problem is present or not, so I'm going to bring it up on my Variac and look for any spikes in consumption. Seems like it's definitely pulling, but it's not pulling much. That's a good sign. Let me go over here and see if there's anything happening. Do I have a... No, I don't have a pilot. Then again, the voltage could be too low. Yeah, it's only like 40 volts. Okay. Still not drawing much. In fact, is it just barely drawing anything? That may be a bad sign. I don't think it's coming on at all, actually. It should be doing something by now. Let me turn it off and unplug it. Okay, let's see. Got it turned on, and I'm just seeing if I have any filament at all. It should be doing something. Let me just go ahead and give it full. Yeah, I think we've got an open filament. Either that or the switch is gunked up. That switch didn't feel right, to tell you the truth. It felt a little funny. Okay, now that switch was obviously gummy because now we've got filament on the rectifier. No sound. Let me... I hear nothing. Interesting. All right, well, striking out so far. Let's just do some measuring here. Whoops. It'd help if I turn this on. Put it on DC. Whoa. 80 volt is pretty low. Three volts there. 90 volts there. So B plus is just barely working here. Not enough to do anything. So there's probably some more shorts going on in here. Either that or I've got a partially shorted rectifier tube. That's also a possibility. Okay, well, changing the tubes didn't do anything, and this resistor is getting super hot, so that tells me there's a shorted cap somewhere. So before I do anything else, I'm going to replace the rest of these caps. I'm also thinking this resistor is also getting pretty warm, and if it's either open or close to open, that would affect the amount of B. Well, actually, is that true? This is the guy that's not getting much B plus. There's something shorting this guy out, so we need to find what that is. Replace the rest of the caps except for the one going to the volume control, which has no voltage on it. I'll replace that later. But I've replaced a bunch that looked really troublesome. Like this guy is like split wide open, which means all that foil has been exposed to oxygen for decades. This one too, you can see how it's melted on the end here. And then there was another cap that was also blown up. So I think the set got struck by lightning, and I'm hoping it didn't take out the output transformer. But there's definitely stuff that I saw that gave me reason to think that there were probably one or more completely shorted capacitor in critical places, and that could really hurt things. I could be totally wrong, but we're going to try it out again and see what happens. Okay, test fire number 2. Huh, interesting. I've still got no pilot light. Well, you know, it would help if I turned on the Variac. Alright, now we got pilot light. And we got power. Let me turn it down. It has no antenna. That sounds like a working radio. Let me hook up an antenna wire. Okay, so I kind of have to admit I forgot to film the last segment because I don't know, I just forgot. But it didn't work. It was still not working at all. And I thought maybe it was a problem with the antenna or something like that. And then because I didn't feel like getting the tube tester out, I just went ahead and grabbed 3 of the rest of these tubes. Usually the 12SQ7 gets nailed pretty hard, so I figured maybe the 12SQ7 is bad. And so let's go ahead and turn it on. Also, this was stuck. This whole mechanism wasn't going up and down smoothly, so I had to add a little oil. And that helps it move up and down better.
We use acoustic wave therapy as a personality. We break down lines to do speak.
It's actually pretty sensitive.
Independence with South America. What would you like to pound? Douglas, Donald Trump.
Now, the thing is, what I need to do before I get too much further is there's rips in the speaker. The speaker actually sounds good considering it's got this huge rip in it, but I want to fix that nevertheless. Yes, I know it's not very attractive, but no one's going to see it once it's back in the case. And I tried it out, and it sounds just perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Observe. Watch it not work.
Bit of a long time ago, but it goes beyond that. 400,000.
You must take a quick look around the world.
Story as without end we acclaim.
Help me work around volatile markets, use tax benefits.
Number 2.
This thing's very sensitive.
Even
Something you believe in. Made AJ Terrell look silly.
Llegaron desde muy chiquitos.
For Brewood, for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
I'm telling you, but he definitely has the talent.
Volunteer.
Yeah, our insider joins us live on the KCBS.
Number?
It's not that you are by.
You know what? Like, I almost started working on this as like I thought it was a joke because it looked like it was so crappily made, but it's super freaking sensitive. Maybe they had some real engineers there. Well, now that we got the electronics kind of sorted out, it's time to take some attention to this poor little case. It's not a very nice finish. It's very cheap, but I think we can make this shine. I'm going to get out the Old English, what I've been using forever and ever, and go over the whole surface with it. Okay, now that I've got the cabinet out here, I'm going to get out my Old English. That's what it's called. It's a furniture product. And I douse it on some paper towels, and you can see immediately what this stuff does. I lay it on real thick. Then you want to wipe off the excess after a few minutes, but it'll bring back the finish. And just like dried out finishes like that, it kind of rejuvenates them. Welcome to day number 2 of working on the unknown radio. The case is starting to look a little bit better. Next, I want to clean the chassis up a little bit. This will have an exposed chassis, so people will see it. Also, I noticed last night the glue is coming loose here, so what I think I might do, since it's kind of hot out there today, is I'll glue this and put it out in the sun. But first, let me clean this up, and then I'll do that. Okay, so I did clean up the chassis. Whoops, I guess I forgot to put the output tube back in there. It's all cleaned up, and the next thing we want to do is add the oh so famous controversial audio input feature, where we're going to run audio directly to the volume control, but we're going to run it through this, which is an isolation transformer. That's to ensure that the user is isolated electrically from anything that could possibly go wrong here, even though there's very little happening there. And this is a good example. This pot shows your top, your bottom, and your middle tap. The top is where the IF radio signal comes in. The bottom is negative. And so what we're going to do is run audio via the isolation transformer to here and there. And since we want to make sure that the user has the ability to turn the radio off and on, meaning the radio signal, we're going to put a little switch between this wire and that connection. That'll come out through here, and I'll have a little toggle switch, like one of these. I'm going to drill a hole through the back and put this rubber grommet in, and this audio cable will come through, and we'll tie a knot, and then the right and left channels of the audio will go through a pair of 33 ohm resistors, and that basically makes mono. And then we'll have this 0.02 rated cap and a 270K resistor in series, not series, parallel. Wrong, series. I'm like dyslexic on this crap for some reason. And then that'll go to the top of the volume, not the volume, but the isolation transformer, and that goes to here. I know that's a mouthful, but I'll mount it up and I'll show you what it looks like. So maybe the explanation will make a little more sense. Alrighty, so I did it all up good. I have this little isolation transformer here. And our right and left channels go through a pair of resistors. Then going to the top of the volume control, we have a resistor and a capacitor. That's to prevent the transformer from interfering with the set's AGC, or automatic gain control. Then we have our switch back here that disconnects the radio signal temporarily, and we have a little Bluetooth running through it. It's definitely a banging radio. I mean, no, you're not going to like have a block party with it or anything, but it sounds pretty good actually. Last thing before I button these up, I put a bit of glue on top of these transformers, just to make sure if it ever breaks free, it's not going to hit anything. Even though to date I've never had one break loose, but you know, just being careful. You know what? It sounds surprisingly good. I mean, I restored this radio because I thought it was such a pitiful, plain looking set. But I was like, whatever, it'll be fun. But you know, sometimes these little sets turn out better than you would think. It's got a good sound quality. And I'm sure that the radio is absolutely good. Let's see. There we go.
Clear contract. In the event of a trade, will subject
timesheets because it's the first time they've done it.
The lab's K through 12.
.org.
Odds favor that you'll get all the sports betting info you need right here.
This is 810 The Spread.
Walking around with her big heart.
Can't believe how sensitive this thing is. And I mean, I don't have much of an antenna on it. That's it. So maybe it's just because the 12SQ7 I put in there is very, very, very good. I don't know. Sometimes lightning strikes. Anyway, the radio's done. I'm going to let it play here for a while to make sure it's going to blow up. Because if it's going to blow up, it'd be better in my garage than in someone's house. And then after a few hours, if it's still not self-immolating, then I consider it good to go. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I know these episodes have been kind of a little bit short lately. This time of year is the museum's big sales season, so we need to have on order for the summer about 150 sets, so it's just nonstop. I haven't even filmed all the sets that I've done, and right now, as I film this, I've got a backlog of videos. There's probably at least 10 that I haven't had the time to upload. So, sorry for the frantic pace of these things, but thanks for bearing with me. I know there's other people that are way more chill than I am, so thanks for hanging out with me. See you next time, guys. Adios.